Hello children, welcome to Sunday School. Did you enjoy the story of Saul and Barnabas in Cyprus? Today we will watch the story of how Paul and Barnabas healed a lame man and what the people did. Here we go. Paul and Barnabas at Lystra. After Paul and Barnabas left the island of Cyprus, they sailed to Iconium. But they were not welcomed by the Jews, and so they travelled to Lystra. Our lesson is from Acts chapter 14. After fleeing from Iconium, Paul and Barnabas travelled south to the town of Lystra. While in Lystra, Paul and Barnabas saw a man who had been lame from birth. He had been sitting and listening as Paul preached. Paul looked at him and knew he had the faith to be healed. So Paul called to him in a loud voice, "Stand up!" And the man jumped to his feet and started walking. The crowds who saw this started shouting in their local dialect, "These men are gods in human form." They decided that Barnabas was the Greek god Zeus and that Paul was Hermes. So the priest of the temple of Zeus, which was just outside the town, and the crowd brought bulls and wreaths of flowers to the town gates, and they prepared to offer sacrifices to the apostles. Paul and Barnabas tore their clothes in dismay. "Friends, we are merely human beings, just like you. We have come to bring you the good news that you should turn from these worthless things and turn to the living God, who made everything. It is God who sends you rain and gives you food and joyful hearts." Just then, some of the Jews persecuting them arrived from Antioch and Iconium. They won over the crowd. They stoned Paul and dragged him out of town, thinking he was dead. But as the believers gathered around Paul, he got up and went back to the town. The next day, Paul left with Barnabas for Derbe. Paul and Barnabas preached the good news in Derbe, and many became Christians. They then returned the way they had come, encouraging and teaching those who had become Christians to continue in the faith. They reminded them that they must suffer many hardships to enter to the kingdom of God. Paul and Barnabas appointed elders in each new church to lead them. After preaching about Jesus in Perga, they travelled to nearby Alitalia and boarded a ship sailed for Seleucia. From here, they made their way to Antioch in Syria, where their journey had begun. Paul and Barnabas called the church in Antioch together to report everything God had done through them and shared how the Gentiles had become followers of Jesus. Then they stayed in Antioch for a long time, encouraging the believers. Goodbye, children, and I hope you enjoyed our lesson today. Don't forget to download the activity and craft sheets. Thank you for joining us today. Bye for now.